good day. How you going? What do you know? Don't strike a light. Good day. And how you going? Just say good day, and you'll be right.
Welcome to the Midweek End Times News and Trends Briefing as we share major events and what is happening around the world as it relates to Bible prophecy. Today's date is Wednesday, March 29th, 2017. Some news items to keep a pulse on and what's happening. First of all, out of what's going on in Israel airstrike on Syria spooks Middle East. This article talks about how Israeli warplanes carry out airstrikes on a shipment of Iran arms to Lebanese Hezbollah. Guerrillas in Syria managed to evade Syrian air defense missiles, but the incident is a graphic demonstration of how the war has potential to further inflame the region. There are likely to be further airstrikes against Hezbollah in Syria, reflecting deepening Israeli concerns that Iran Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and their Lebanese allies are establishing a new front in the divided Golan Heights from which to fight the Jewish state. These developments are increasing the chances of a miscalculation that can trigger war on both sides and insist that they do not want. As the tensions mount in the unprecedented cluster of interlocking conflicts across the hair-triggered region, clashes like the aerial action over the area could easily escalate out of control. So this is a situation we just got to keep a pulse on and monitor. Also, speaking of the Israeli defense military, they exercise on two fronts and high alert. So they embarked on Sunday a 2-week-long military exercise, one on the across the Golan Heights to drill the forces prepared for attacks, and the other in Judea and Samaria. Residents were warned the drills would be accompanied by explosions. The troops in the Southern Command and also in Gaza region went on high terror alert following Hamas's threat Saturday to avenge the gunning down of Mazin Fuka, a senior member of its armed wing, which they accused the Mossad. Fuka, who was released from jail from multiple terrorist murders and the prison exchange, was charged of Hamas terror operations against Israelis in Judah and Samaria. 4 shots from a silenced pistol ended his life outside of his home in Gaza. So again, the intensity of what does happen there on a regular basis, daily basis, and dealing with this, this is something that most countries never have to experience. Israel's probably the number one country around the world that experiences the fight on all 3 fronts, from the north with Hezbollah to the east, which would be Syria and Iran, and also to the south and to the west would be Hamas and the PLO. So all these surrounding countries that are trying to attack and try to destroy Israel is something that we do see on a regular basis. Also, speaking of Hezbollah, the world shrugs as Hezbollah prepares for massive civilian deaths, according to Israel National News. Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah recently warned Israel that his Iran-backed terror group could attack targets producing mass Israeli casualties, including a huge ammonia storage tank in Haifa and a nuclear reactor in Domana. Hezbollah's advanced weapons in the systems needed to launch the reportedly embedded across the staggering 100,000 locations at the heart of more than 200 civilian towns and villages. The Israeli military has openly warned about this Hezbollah war crime and grave threat it possesses to both sides. But the alarm generated almost no attention from the global media, the United Nations, or other international institutions. Like the terror group Hamas, Hezbollah knows that civilian deaths at the hands of Israeli are a strategic asset because they produce diplomatic pressures to limit Israel's military response. Hezbollah reported went so far as offering reduced price for housing to Shiite families to allow their terrorist group to store rocket launchers in their home. But if the global media, the UN and the Human Rights Organization and other international institutions predictably pounce on Israel after it causes civilian casualties. Why are they doing nothing to prevent them? Hezbollah's very presence in southern Lebanon is a flagrant violation of United Nations Security Council Resolution 1701 or 1701, which has called for an area to be free of any armed personnel, assets, and weapons, so other than Lebanese military and UN-informed forces in Lebanon. The resolution also requires Hezbollah to be disarmed, but the terror group today has an arsenal that rivals most militaries and armies. Hezbollah possesses an estimated of over 140,000 missiles and rockets, and reportedly can now manufacture advanced weapons in underground factories that are against the aerial attacks. So we see this escalation, as other reports have talked about, on a daily base, on a weekly base. This is happening. It's just a matter of time before we do see war breaking out, the Psalm 83 war, the eventual Ezekiel 38 war that will happen. So this is just the pieces of the puzzle coming together. On another issue, a moral issue, female athletes crushed by, quote, women who were once men. So there's a lot of this, and this is dealing with the whole transgender issue. But you've heard the expression that boys will be boys. But what is happening is these brawny boys want to be one of the girls. And now they're competing with females in weightlifting and brutally tackling girls on the football field, or even dealing with powerful knockout punches in mixed martial arts. So this is happening not only in America, but around the world. Biological males are joining women's teams, smashing records and dominating the sports, from weightlifting, softball, volleyball, football, wrestling, golf, basketball, mixed martial arts, and many other sports like that. The movement for equality has apparently inspired transgender athletes to join teams of their preferred gender. That often means that biological males are competing against biological females on women's teams. But in the world of sports, critics argue equality between the sexes simply doesn't exist. The physical matters of both men and women are different. The gender gap between men and women cannot be erased. For example, when it comes to running, men are generally faster than women. And there's an article that came out of Runner's World in 2015 that explained that at every distance up to a marathon, the gap between men's and women's world record times is 9 to 10%. And it's similar to even higher percentages among recreational runners. And then the article talks a lot more about the different advantages that men have over women. So again, this whole transgender issue is getting out of control. There has to be equality amongst the teams, but there probably needs to be a separate group of people if they're going to compete for a transgender group versus, hey, I want to be a female, and so you're joining a female's team. So it just creates an unequal advantage coming from a male to a female side sport. There's also another report that talked about how the judge okays a petition for America's first genderless person. So a couple of different articles that came out of the news. This one came out of Charisma News that talks about this Portland student who has become the first American to gain legal designation as genderless following a ruling by a county judge. So the decision from March 10th was reported for the first time that a 27-year-old who was born male but claimed to identify as no gender whatsoever, it's just mind-boggling how people would go through with this. You're neither male nor female, but you cannot change your DNA. You cannot change your chromosomes in your body. So you're either male or you're female. You cannot say that you're non-genderless. So you can see that just the craziness that's going on with this whole transgender issue, the issue of sexuality, and this is where Satan wants to deceive people and lie to people about this whole issue, instead of this is how God created us, male and female, and that we need to be content with how God created us. And then the last area to bring to your attention is the area of persecution and censorship, and the world is silencing the truth. This was from a site that talked about how Vimeo, it's the alternative to YouTube, declares war on the gospel transformation. So here's the article. If Jesus has changed your life and set you free from the homosexual practices, your testimony is not welcomed on Vimeo. Not now, not ever. If you see homosexuality as another aspect of sexual brokenness, something which Jesus died, and something for which you can be healed, your opinion is not welcomed on Vimeo. Case closed, door shut, end of subject. And in the words of David Kyle Foster, the director of Pure Passion Ministries and himself a former homosexual, he says this is pure religious bigotry and censorship. Last December, Vimeo contacted Foster to inform him that some of the Pure Passion videos has been marked by a moderator since Vimeo does not allow videos that harass, incite hatred, or depict excessive violence. They instruct him to remove any and all videos of this sort from his account, which he had over 850 videos on Vimeo, and let him know that the account would be reviewed in 48 hours. If this ministry failed to remove the alleged offensive videos, then he was informed that your videos in your account will be removed by a Vimeo moderator. If Foster's ministry is not the first to be unfairly censored. Last year, Vimeo closed an account of Restore Hope Network, which is an association of ministry to help people with unwanted same-sex attraction. Vimeo also closed the account of NARTH, N-A-R-T-H, which is the National Association for Research and Therapy of Homosexuals, which is an association of psychologists, psychiatrists, counselors, and therapists who had the nerve to stand up to the politically correct establishment, and he refused to celebrate the LGBT activism. For such a horrific ideological crime, their Vimeo account is no more. Vimeo's message is clear. If you have same-sex attractions, wherever their cause, you must embrace them, if not celebrate them. So Foster was aware of Vimeo's history, but he was not about to go down without a hearty protest. He wrote back to the Vimeo saying, "You must have the wrong account. We're an award-winning Christian ministry that only posts content that helps people, not hurts them. We never defame anyone. We never incite hatred and depict violence of any kind. Our message has been one of love from start to finish." And he explained that our videos help sexual abuse victims, people who have been sex trafficked, those who were addicted for any other condition that causes them distress. We are constantly receiving professional awards and commendations from people who have been helped by world-class experts who populate our videos. He even asked Vimeo to cite any videos that otherwise, and we'll have a second look. It would be a shame to remove hundreds of videos that help people in very desperate circumstances, some which have claimed to be prevented from suicide by the messages of hope that we produce. The next day, Melissa B., a trusted safety coordinator, responded, "It seems that a number of your videos goes against the Vimeo guidelines. We forbid any content that displays a demeaning attitude towards a specific group, including videos that promote sexual orientation change efforts." So by this logic, Alcohol Anonymous would not be welcomed on Vimeo since their videos demean alcoholism, or weight loss videos would not be welcomed because they shame overweight people. The testimonies of Christian converts from Islam would not be welcome because they shame Muslims. So in reality, all these videos are welcomed on Vimeo because none of them cross the forbidden line saying, "You're not happy being gay or bisexual or transgender. God has a better way." Foster wrote back again explaining why they were targeting the wrong account. He says, "The testimonies of people have been significantly helped by our videos and is practically endless. Why would anyone want to censor such a voice for the broken and helpless?" Surprisingly, the Vimeo had accepted his explanation, telling Foster that he didn't need to remove his videos, quote-unquote, at this time, but asking him to keep their guidelines in mind for any future uploads. Unfortunately, on March 16th, the cycle started again. Vimeo giving Foster one more week to remove the supposedly offensive videos. And he wrote back, noting that the matter had previously been resolved, and he received an email from Sean M., who explained your statement equating homosexuality to sexual brokenness betrays the underlying stance of your organization. To put it plainly, we don't believe that homosexual requires a cure, and we don't allow videos on our platform that espouse this point of view. Please remove any and all videos that discuss homosexuality as a condition requiring healing. We also consider the basic view to display the demeaning attitude toward a specific group, which is something we do not allow. So you can see why Foster described this as pure religious bigotry and censorship. So Vimeo is forbidding you to agree with the Bible when it comes to human sin and brokenness. Vimeo is forbidding for you to preach the gospel of transformation when it comes to homosexuality. Vimeo is engaging in blatant, unapologetic, aggressive, anti-Christian censorship. Foster wrote to Michael Brown at one point, one of the other apologetics and pastors out there that has done an amazing work and written many books. But he talked about how Vimeo allows all these other things that go on, from videos of terrorists and pornographers, and made their stand against ministry even more hypocritical. And so he and Sean have engaged in several series of emails, but the bottom line for Vimeo is they recognize that Foster's ministry was not overtly voluntaric. However, referring to homosexuals as dysfunctional of sexual brokenness or the sexual disorientation is not okay. Nor is it a reference to the fact that God can transform the life of anyone caught in homosexual confusion. So Vimeo disagrees wholeheartedly with the notion that homosexuality is a form of brokenness or something that's requiring healing or something that people need to be asked freedom from. So you can see the censorship, the bigotry, the hypocrisy that goes on from YouTube channels to even Vimeo. So all these platforms where we can get the message out there, the message of truth, the gospel message, and the message to set people free, they want to shut it down. Even a lot of these prophetic videos from many of other brothers and sisters out there posting things get their accounts shut down or frozen, because they don't like to hear the truth out there. There's so many people that need to be set free from their sin, from their bondage. They need to hear, more importantly, the gospel message that Jesus Christ died for their sins. He was buried, rose again on the third day, defeating sin and death, and how we can have a relationship with the Lord, how we can have the forgiveness of sins. And so we need to continue to pray to get the gospel out there, continue to pray for ministries like Dr. Foster, the things that he's sharing in his videos and the ministry and the conferences, and there's others like him that we need to be supporting and praying for because it's helping so many people around the world. So let's get the gospel out there. Let's continue to share these type of videos or information to as many people as possible. And just the fact that we brought this particular topic up, we will get some comments and we'll definitely get some dislikes. So every time that we share the truth about what the Bible says, there's always going to be people that disagree with you or specifically on this particular topic. But we're going to continue to share the love and the grace and mercy of Jesus Christ. And so this is it for this particular update. May the Lord radically and outrageously bless you. Until next time, God bless.